All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm hoping you're hearing me okay. I've just been dealing with some technical issues a little bit prior to launch of the show, so I hope it's coming through loud and clear and you're able to hear the sound of my voice as you're listening into the show. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Saturday night, and it's October 1st. Ooh, hold on. Let me try that again. It's October 1st, ladies and gentlemen. The beginning of the Halloween season, but it's been ongoing for many of us for a long time now. But welcome to the show, and hope you're in the Halloween spirit, because Halloween is year-round here on the Paranormal Portal. I just got to tell you, we always deal with the strange, the spooky, the weird, the unusual, and the absolutely terrifying. And so, if you're looking for all those things, you're in the right place. But I'm not alone here, ladies and gentlemen. I am joined by the big branch himself, Mr. Sheldon Thomas. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. It's a perfect day for the paranormal. Just entering in the month of Hallows. There's no perfect time to have a show.
There's no more perfect time. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's kind of this is actually, as much as I hate the change in weather, I love the Halloween season. I love the vibe of the veil thinning. I just really think it's cool. I always find this is an energizing time, although I'm mourning the end of summer and, mourning the beginning of fall. But I'm at least glad that the veil is thinning, and, that's kind of cool.
Absolutely.
Thank you for saying something there. I was like, that was the part where we talk. Okay. All right. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a full bucket of fun here for you tonight. Obviously, lots to get through and get to. But first and foremost, thank you all for joining us. I see many of the familiar faces joining us every time we launch the shows. Thank you all. We do have the greatest chat community in all of YouTube, in my opinion. It's just been an amazing family of incredible people that come together for every show. You guys participate. You're amazing. And to TFR and iHeart and Tune In and TalkStream Live as well. Don't get me wrong. I love you all. But it's just, the chat has always been like a second co-host here on the show. It's just a big part of what we do. So we're doing our best to keep an eye on the chat. If you've got something you want to contribute, if you're in the YouTube chat or on TFR, we'll try to check that too. But just make sure that it's in YouTube that you capitalize every letter, because it's easier to see. But it's even better if you do the @Paranormal Portal.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Rachel. This is Brent. You brought us all together. Yeah, you guys found me. I wish I could take credit for this, and you guys have made this your home. So this is something I can't take credit for, but it's something you guys have built around the show, and I'm absolutely honored and humbled. Thank you so much for that. So we got a bunch of stuff on the roster tonight. Before we go any further, because there's always so much to get through, a couple messages from Extreme Expeditions Northwest LLC. First of all, they help to sponsor the Paranormal Portal. And I'm speaking, of course, of Cryptid Coin. They are a cryptocurrency that has its heart in cryptid research and investigation. And they've stepped up and to help support what we're doing here on the show. So we're really grateful to them. And I hope you guys will check them out. And you can learn more about Cryptid Coin and the opportunity that it has for you by going over to cryptidcoin.io and see if it looks like a good fit for you. Special thank you to Cryptid Coin for helping to sponsor the Paranormal Portal. And in June 17th of next year, 2023, mark your calendars, ladies and gentlemen, because it's the Sasquatch Roundup in Spokane, Washington. It's the Extreme Expeditions Northwest LLC conference that they hold, and it's going to be a great event. If you're there, if you're available, head over to Spokane, Washington on June 17th to the Spokane Valley Events Center, where you'll see a whole incredible lineup of people that are going to be there to present. Michael Freeman, son of Paul Freeman, who's going to be there talking about his dad and all of the work that he did regarding Bigfoot research. Of course, we've seen the Freeman footage here on the show. It's, in my opinion, second only to the Patterson-Gimlin. I just love that. I think it's incredible work and a very rare capture. But also Dr. Jeff Meldrum will be there talking. And if you've never heard him talk, of course, he was a guest on our podcast. And if you haven't heard Dr. Meldrum before, first of all, where you been? Because he's been just about everywhere. But he's an incredible guy, a very, very nice guy, and incredibly knowledgeable. And so it's a blast to hear what he has to say. And he's so many insights in his presentations at conferences. He was also at Phenomicon when we were there recently. So that's a should not miss opportunity for you. As well as Ken Gerhard, who's a renowned cryptozoologist. He's been everywhere. He's had his own TV show on one of the Discovery or Travel Channel networks. And he's been a guest dozens of times on many, many shows. And he's an accomplished author of his own right. And so he'll be there. Tom Seawood, who is part of Sasquatch Island, and he's been a presenter at many conferences as well. He'll be presenting. He brings a really cool perspective because he brings his native perspective into it, along with the traditional dress and observations of the Sasquatch in the Cluckiwalk traditions. I'm trying to pronounce that correctly. It's an odd saying for me, but it's a beautiful the way he says it. I just butcher the hell out of it. So, and then there's an MC there that's going to be pretty incredible too. That's me. So I hope you guys will check it out. Special thanks to Extreme Expeditions Northwest LLC for being a part of the Paranormal Portal. So we appreciate it. But Sheldon, are you ready?
Oh yeah.
Because it's time for our first event of the night. And as always, that is the news.
News.
Whoops. Oops. I'll have to do the thunder. I had it all.
Hey guys, I was just thinking about you.
Oh, Mr. Accord, how you do go on?
Yeah, that's right. That just happened.
That, of course, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Russ Accord. He was playing a prank on Don and I back in a couple of years ago now at Medellin Falls. He took our remote mics and we had our headsets on and we're at our board, and all of a sudden we hear that on our earpieces. It's like, oh my God. So yeah, he walked away and we're like, what is he doing exactly? He went to the bathroom and flushed the toilet. So Russ Accord, of course, is that's one of the stars on Expedition Bigfoot. If you haven't seen that, he's a great guy as well. If you ever get a chance to see him present, I missed his presentation at Phenomicon, but just an incredible presenter. And I heard from people that did watch it that it's about the best presentation they've ever seen. So Definitely catch him. And he's going to be apparently at a conference in Minnesota this coming weekend. Or maybe now. Yeah. Maybe he's now. So, but anyway, welcome to the news as we dive into the first story of the night. And this is probably another bad idea in a long series of bad ideas from our scientists. As far as irresponsible experiments, this might be another one, folks. But we'll see what you guys think. Here is the stuff of nightmares. From unexplained-mysteries.com, scientists use mosquitoes to deliver experimental malaria vaccine.
Oh, screw that.
How about they just have people line up and get shots? I mean, come on. Are you serious?
Why?
All right, let's see what it says. A lab-based experiment saw volunteers receive a dose of new malaria vaccine using mosquitoes instead of syringes. Oh, my God. Scientists have spent decades working on new ways to treat or prevent malaria, a notorious infectious disease spread by mosquitoes, and that remains prevalent in many parts of the world. In a bizarre twist, however, the latest experiment involved using the mosquitoes themselves to effectively spread a vaccine by passing it on to their victims when they bite them. Oh, my God, this is such a bad idea. The vaccine contains a live malaria-causing plasmodium parasites that have been genetically modified to be harmless. Oh, God. Thus, providing the body's immune system with an opportunity to develop antibodies that'll work against the real thing. We're using the mosquitoes like they're 1,000 small flying syringes, said lead study author Dr. Sean Murphy. Boy, if that's not the stuff of nightmares, huh? From the University of Washington, Seattle. During the trial, several volunteers visited the lab to be vaccinated by placing their exposed arm inside a tank filled with mosquitoes that were carrying the modified parasites. Who in the hell steps up and says, I'll try it? But anyway, while some ended up badly bitten, the unusual method of delivery did prove effective. While all this might sound a bit disconcerting, the experiment was only being done this way because using mosquitoes to deliver the vaccine was cheaper and less time-consuming than developing a version that could be injected through a syringe. There are no plans to mass vaccinate the population using mosquitoes or other insects. Yeah, and that's exactly what I was thinking. It's like, what you know, whatever side of the fence you're on, folks, about some of the new vaccination issues that have popped up in the last year or so. I understand. I mean, I don't pretend to be an expert. I'm not even informed enough to have probably a real valid opinion. But I do think that you should definitely have the ability to consent to anything being done to you. I think that that's not too much to ask. But you know, what if they decide, hey, we didn't have any plans then, but we have plans now? So I don't know.
I'm actually shocked that it's cheaper.
Well, I think, I don't even know how come. I don't know. But I just think anytime we tamper with nature is this beautiful living macroorganism of balance and synergy. And once we start plucking our fingers into that spider web of things that work perfectly in concert with each other, it just never works out real well. I can't say never, but most often we just don't know enough. And so that's the part that concerns me. But again, this isn't a political statement at all. It's just, I'm concerned whenever you start messing with nature to accomplish means other than what they already are doing. I think that's something's going to go sideways.
I mean, even on top of that, I mean, on one side of the aisle, this is really cool.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the aisle, it's kind of scary.
Yes, that's my point. It's like, I don't know. It is, I guess, whatever it is, I don't even know. But it's really surprising that's an avenue. And you're right. How could that be cheaper? How did they plug this parasite into these mosquitoes? And what is the parasite, this genetically modified parasite? What does it become? Does it just stay what it was genetically modified to be, or does it just start to become like a Frankenvirus or something? I mean, good God. Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, we are sad to announce the beginning of the zombie apocalypse.
One day, just waiting.
I know, it's like, oh God, yeah. So I don't know, and I'm being a bit sensational here, but that stuff really does concern me. I think science is exciting, and of course it can do and has done amazing things. I'm not an anti-science guy by any means, but again, there's a balance with nature, and once we start inserting ourselves into that balance, it just generally doesn't work out real well. So we'll see. I guess there's no stopping it now, but good God. You think they would put this stuff up to vote before they started researching it? Like, hey guys, here's what we're thinking of doing. What do you all feel about this before we absolutely change your world? I mean, could we have a vote? Like, yeah, I'm good with the way it is. Please just, make a syringe.
It's so weird. It's like the saying, it's not broke, don't fix it, but they're trying to reinvent stuff that doesn't need to be reinvented.
Right. Or make a mechanical mosquitoes that fly around and do this. I don't know.
That sounds really expensive. I don't know.
Well, who knows? I just don't know, but God, this is really troubling. So anyway, I just want to vote is my point. It's like, don't tell me what you've done after you've done it. And no, I know it's in a lab, but what if it's not? What if it's not just in a lab? Ooh, the mosquitoes got out. Oops.
Oh, yeah. And then evolution on top. They kind of like what you're saying. What are they going to become? Like, right. Yeah, they are this now. Right. What about the next generation and the next generation?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Jurassic Park statement, life finds a way. It's like, ooh, sometimes the way it finds doesn't work out real well for us. But anyway, I've seen that movie. I don't like how it ends. But let's check out the next article here on the Paranormal Portal News Fest. And this is from unexplained-mysteries.com. Great site. Please check them out. They're wonderful. They do amazing things over there, and it's just a treasure trove of information and articles. So Elon Musk unveils his new Optimus robot at Tesla's AI Day. Is that it?
Oh.
Is that a picture of it? That looks like a walking boombox.
Wait, that's what you call Optimus? What an embarrassment.
I don't know. Maybe it's incredible, but it sure is not. I mean, it's kind of a homely thing, really. I would have expected something a lot more streamlined. But anyway, let's see what it says. The SpaceX and Tesla CEO is expanding his focus into robotics in the hope of one day bringing affordable robots to the masses. It's been quite a while since we first heard that Elon Musk was developing a humanoid robot, and now, at last, we've had the chance to see his latest creation in action. Named Optimus, in an obvious nod to the Transformers Optimus Prime, the prototype robot made his debut appearance on stage at Tesla's AI Day event yesterday. Attendees looked on as the robot slowly walked forward a few paces, waved to the audience, and then even attempted a brief dance to the music that was playing in the background. Well, little ham. It would be fair to say that Optimus is still very much a work in progress. It moves extremely slowly, has wires sticking out all over the place, and looks as though a slight breeze could knock it over. Musk noted that its actions on stage had been limited to avoid having it fall on its face. Yeah, that's probably not what you want. That sounds like what it would be like for Bill Gates unveiling Windows XP. I think, didn't it crash on stage like blue screen of death at his big unveiling? So that would be the AI robot's equivalent. And instead of showing a reel of clips of the robot performing basic tasks such as picking up boxes, our goal is to make a useful humanoid robot as quickly as possible, he said. There's still a lot of work to be done to refine Optimus and improve it. And prove it, I guess, or is it improve or prove? I don't know. Musk envisages that Optimus will one day be capable of performing all manner of useful tasks both at home and in the workplace while costing a relatively affordable sum of around $20,000. I'm clearly in the wrong tax bracket for that, but I guess when you're a billionaire, that's an affordable sum. While the robot is certainly impressive, however, it is still very limited and is going to take a lot more development to make it into a viable and useful consumer product. Eventually, though, it is certainly not unreasonable to imagine a world in which you might return home from work to find that one of these contraptions has done all the housework and made your dinner for you. I'm all for that. I mean, I'd rather it look more like R2-D2, but in any case, that's pretty cool. For those with disabilities in particular, Optimus could prove to be a revolutionary piece of kit. Not sure what a piece of kit is. If you change the K to an SH, I don't know. But anyway, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what a piece of kit is, but there you have it, folks.
Well, okay. Now hear me out, though.
Okay.
Instead of coming home to the robot doing your tasks, send the robot eventually to work. Ooh. And it makes money for you, and you clean the house.
Yeah, but then then the corporations will just make their robots to do the work and screw you. Welcome to your new tent. Yeah, there's
worth a shot.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you, and I appreciate what you're saying. But yeah, if they can make a robot to do the work, they're not going to give it to you so that it gets paid. Good point, though. Good point. All right, let's go to the next one. Did that work? There we go. That's an interesting robot. I think it looks like somebody's Lego project from like 3rd grade. Anyway, let's go to the next one. And this is from unexplained-mysteries.com as well, folks. And this one is, I guess, a good follow-up. I don't know. Did I already do this one or not? I might not have, but we're going to do it again. This is from unexplained-mysteries.com. We'll never take over the world, says eerily human-like robot. Yeah, we did do this one before. That's a kind of I pulled it because it was a funny follow-up to that. But yeah, we've already done it. This robot says, you have nothing to worry about, folks. So glad we got that reassurance. Yeah, I guess there's no reason to read it again, right? Nope. Robots say we're fine, folks. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to see here. Just like the but.
Quick question before we move on. For TFR, is it muted on your end or just mine?
I don't know.
I pressed the wrong button, and I'm really hoping I didn't screw something up.
Let me see. Where am I? Here I am. Let me check, and we'll find out. Let's see. I'm going over there. You guys hearing us okay on TFR? Gemini, Bam, and Jake, are you guys hearing us? Are you hearing? I don't think you could be muting. You couldn't mute the show.
I mean the audio for like the bumper.
The audio. No, I didn't hear it either. When it came in, I didn't hear any bumper. Is that what you mean?
I'm saying, is it muted on Skype?
Oh, no, I don't think so. Hold on. Let me check. Oh, I see what you're saying. Let me check.
Yeah.
Let me check. Gotta find the actual thumb here. There we go. Yeah, it is.
Okay. My bad.
No, I don't know if it is. Let me just pull it up here and look. Is it muted or unmuted? It's not muted. I don't know. Can you get? Yeah, they can hear us. Bam says they can hear us. So no, they're good.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know that it works that way. I mean, it looks like there's a red line through the microphone, but apparently
that means we won't be able to hear the bumper.
Oh, well, I didn't do that. Did you do that?
That's what I'm saying. I did that.
I don't even see how to undo that.
I know. I don't know.
How did you do it? And in the news, Sheldon rewrites the whole network. I don't even know how you did it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I misclicked.
Yes, you might have, but I'm not sure how you did it. It doesn't even give me a menu option to do that. So I
right-clicked it and accidentally clicked mute.
Can you right-click it and click that again?
No, it's grayed out.
Yeah, it is for me too. So, well, I guess we're not going to hear it, but I guess you're going to hear us. I didn't hear a bumper coming in though, but I did hear the commercials. So I don't know. I don't know, folks. But anyway, let's continue. Sheldon, leave your mouse alone.
Yep.
So the robots aren't going to take over the world. That's the good news, according to that one. Next up in the news is I don't know. This is one of those stories that you wonder what your tax money is hard at work at in some of this funded research. Well, this might be an answer. According to unexplained-mysteries.com, constipated scorpions among subjects of this year's IG Nobel Prize winners. Constipated scorpions? Really?
What?
The Alternative Science Awards are given to peculiar research projects which make people laugh and then think. Okay, I'm waiting for the think part, but a parody of the better known and more prestigious Nobel Prize, the IG Nobel Prize, seeks to offer recognition to those who have contributed to the world of science in more unusual ways. The winners are typically those who have engaged in research into strange, bizarre, and often ludicrous ideas and concepts, and this year's recipients are no exception. In addition to receiving recognition for their work, the winners are also awarded an almost completely useless Zimbabwean $10 trillion bill, which can be bought on Amazon for a few dollars. And unsurprisingly, the winning projects were just as strange as previous years. The biology prize this year went to a team from the University of São Paulo, Brazil, who investigated whether constipation had any impact on the mating habits of scorpions. What?
That seems worth research right there.
Yeah. It's like, really? This is how they spent their research dollars? The engineering prize, meanwhile, went to the team of researchers who had decided to determine the most efficient way for someone to use their fingers when turning a doorknob. Wow, folks, people get paid for this stuff. Are you serious? The Art History Prize went to a project entitled "A Multidisciplinary Approach to Ritual Enema Scenes on Ancient Maya Pottery." While the Physics Prize went to a project focused on determining how ducklings manage to swim in a straight line behind their mom. The bizarreness was rounded up at the Safety Engineer Prize went to a team who had developed a life-size moose crash test dummy made out of rubber. Okay. Well, I don't know. I didn't get a lot of chuckles out of that. I got a lot more disappointed, actually, than I started. But
I always thought to myself, how could I turn this doorknob more efficiently?
Yeah, it's just, it's probably worth some research. Anyway, here's one that I want to read. I hope I have time to, because this is one I've had open for a while, but it's kind of creepy. Of course, there's the new trend in online now. It's called AI art, where you basically describe a scene and an AI will generate it for you. However, from unexplained-mysteries.com comes this nightmare, and this is creepy AI-generated woman, Loab, is social media's latest urban legend. And those of you can see it. An eerie face envisaged within the mind of an artificial intelligence seems to be the internet's latest answer to Slender Man. Earlier this year, we covered the story of a remarkable and disturbing capabilities of OpenAI's DAL-E artificial intelligence, which can generate images of absolutely anything at all simply by typing in a description of it in natural language and letting it interpret the request as it sees fit. The results can be unnerving to say the least, leading to a whole new category of image, usually frighteningly distorted and creepy, or mundane things like as imaged by an AI computer algorithm. The latest product of this trend has become something of an urban legend on social media. It is the face of a woman named Loab, who was created by Twitter musician Super Composites using a custom AI text-to-image model similar to, but not the same as DAL-E. By messing around with what are known as negative prompts, she was able to get the AI to repeatedly produce variations of an image of a woman with distorted features and red cheeks. What's weird is, because of the way the system generates these images, this woman's face seems to somehow exist within the latent space of the AI's memory, and in fact represents the negative of a request to produce an image of something else, an opposite of sorts. Exactly why the AI repeatedly produces a version of this particular face remains unclear, which makes the resulting images all the creepier, especially given that some of them are quite disturbing. Ultimately, the phenomenon is likely to be a quirk in the software, but it is a strange one nonetheless. Some of the social media users have come up to regard Loab as a Slender Man type of figure, a boogeyman or boogie woman in the internet age, the stuff that creepypasta nightmares are made of. Her discoverer has since come to regard her as the first cryptid of the latent space. A fitting title, to be sure. So be on the lookout, because I'm sure we'll see people reporting Loab is appearing on their internet searches or something like that.
Behold, the next tulpa.
Yep, the next tulpa, and this one's the digital tulpa. I guess it's the way of the future, right? All right.
Yeah, it's 9:28 here. Does that mean we're technically in commercial?
We are, as a matter of fact. So I guess we're technically in commercial. I don't even know. I guess we can do a commercial. But anyway, that's going to wrap up the news for now, folks. So let's get back to it in just a couple minutes. Holy noisy. Hello?
A little windy.
Sheldon, I'm trapped in this storm. Oh, never mind.
Oh, that's better. All right.
Yeah, that got better. Once it broke out, it was fine. It was a little noisy there, though. I wonder if they hear that on TFR. You guys hearing that on TFR? You guys hear all that noise on TFR? Breaks. Let's see what they say. Oh, hey, welcome back.
Oh, it's back. Nice.
Yeah, we can't get enough of that. Let's remove that. Let's try adding that back in. Good God. My God, man. All right, that's quiet now. It's nice and quiet now, folks. All right, as we dive into the next half hour of the show, we are in half hour number 2 of a 2-hour show. So we got 4 half hours to create a full 2 hours. Thank you. That was done in my head.
Nice.
I did some ciphering, Sheldon. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines are open if any of you want to call in and share your paranormal experiences, or you got something to talk about that you've seen or experienced, and I'd love to hear from you. But otherwise, we're going to go into our Discord segment, which is Questions of the Week. One of these days, I'm actually going to make a bumper for that, and it's going to be a really cool intro, Sheldon.
That would be awesome.
Can you envision it in your head? It's just powerful. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Good. That's the important part. Just envision that we just had this really cool intro. But this Questions of the Week, folks, are a way of which we can tie our Discord community into the live shows and have discussions that are bridging both. If you're not familiar with our Discord community, then you should get familiar with it, because we'd love to have you over there. Love to have you become a part of it. And Sheldon, I'm sure, is putting a link up there now, right, Sheldon?
It's already in.
It is. Okay. It's not on my page yet. Oh, yeah, it is. Oh. There it is. Yep. Okay. It was up a little higher. You'd already done it. But essentially, it's a chat community dealing with all things paranormal and any news about the shows and such, too. So, but you can look into the threads on the left-hand side, and you'll see Questions of the Week. And we ask a question prior to every live show and let our Discord community comment on it. And then we're going to cover it on the live shows. And tonight's question is what, Sheldon? Why don't you go into what is the question?
So the question for today is, due to increased interest in the paranormal, people are beginning to engage in ghost hunting and investigating activities. Some people believe that this can create problems when dealing with spiritual presences with increased activity following investigations. Do you feel that ghost investigating provokes increased activity in hauntings, or do you believe it is harmless to investigate this phenomena? First responder is Eric, PHA. I think it can depend on investigation and how it's conducted. And I completely agree, actually. It's a really good point. Cashew says, I have not had this experience of investigating and then feeling like I have increased activity. I've never investigated. In my experience, it seems like when you encounter something unusual, you seem to be open to seeing or experiencing more unusual things. Sort of like when you buy a new car, and suddenly you see that model all over the road. It's like your awareness and lens have been changed. That is a really good point, too, especially for people who may have not had those experiences beforehand. It's a really good point.
Yep.
Rachel says, I've heard on various podcasts that after investigation, where the investigators are antagonistic to the alleged spirits occupying residence, whether it's accident harassment such as the harm that ultraviolet flashlights have on spirits or intentionally weaponized, it would depend on the nature of the haunting. If it's an aggressive ghost, it could retaliate. It would use its abilities to harm the family living there. After all, a ghost can't file complaints about being harmed. It would let its feelings be known to those who it's in close daily contact with. But there's also the chance the spirits could follow the investigators home to retaliate and then maybe return to their haunting residence at a later time.
Yeah, good point.
And that's true, because you don't know what's there. So you have to be careful and take the necessary precautions.
Yep.
ZX81V2 says people are idiots in general when it comes to the paranormal.
Tell us
Most
how you
ghost
feel.
hunters.
Just let it all out. Let it all out.
Yeah, just. Most ghost hunters have no balls and like it at first fart. I've seen videos on the tube of idiots using Ouija boards and not even bothering to, I don't know, watch other people's experience before messing. But no, fingers leave and they wonder why hell broke loose in their houses. Worst is that some of them do it in their own basements. Complete morons. If you were having to change your fuse box, you'll read up on how to do it without frying yourself. Yet ghost hunters, time and time again, plug the metaphorical fork into the electric socket.
That was quite a vent there. That was pretty well done, though. Yeah, I don't disagree with them. Okay.
As blunt as they are, yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Comet Man says, if the ghost hunter treats the ghosts with respect and gives them instructions with authority not to follow them home, but if you disrespect a ghost, you're inviting them into your life. Also, asking the wrong questions provokes them. Also, your energy and frequency, like The Shining. It's a good point, too. Yeah, good point. Ghost Magnet 81 says, I agree with Cashew that relative activity could be due to the Badger Meinhof phenomenon. I don't know what that is, but maybe you do.
I don't recognize it by the name. No, I'm going to have to look into that.
Okay. / frequency illusion. When I started seeing again after decades of trying to be normal and not see things, my world opened up a myriad interesting entities. My whole paradigm shifted when I discovered EVPs quite by accident. I know people warn of doing EVPs on their own house, but since my house is haunted and I had already begun EVP sessions before I knew it was taboo. I continue cautiously when activity seems to be unusually increased. I certainly do not think it is harmless and precautions need to be taken, but the fact that in the last 30 years we've gone from being dismissed and thought little off-center to being the go-tos of the paranormal world, I think the more investigation, the better. Those of us that live this phenomenon, whether we accept it or if not, or not have benefited from shows like this to find community and people that won't roll their eyes when you talk. It is people like you, Brent, Sheldon, and Don that are tasked with helping people understand the gravity of what they may encounter if they choose to go into investigation. Sadly, as ZX81V2 stated, people just jump in with 2 feet without thinking about what they are getting into. Yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had a healthy respect for the unseen, but I've learned so much from this community as to how to protect myself and family and space, and so far there's been little supposed evil to enter.
Good.
The entities that reside in my house seem to be just as protective of the space as I am. The last 17 years living in this house has been interesting to say the least. I never thought ghosts would be a part of my daily life.
No
well,
kidding.
well, thank you, Ghost Magnet.
Yeah.
I hope that the show and everything well, really it's just our opinions on the matter and our experiences. I hope they really help you, on all you guys out there as well. Lily Pond says, I think that anything that you focus on tends to flourish, and that includes the paranormal. I did have a paranormal investigation team for several years. Mm-hmm. My interest in the paranormal started prior to that when I moved into a haunted house in San Francisco. Not all hauntings are of a negative nature. I believe they meet at your level of hostility or fear. 100% I believe that the more focus you give to it, the more you receive, and to me, that's a positive thing. I've never had a single negative encounter. Good. Is that a perspective thing? Possibly because I'm sure my experiences would frighten most people, but I enjoyed the interactions with spirits. I've never been physically harmed or mentally tormented. Not so much as I get out, even. I treat spirits the same way as I treat the living when invited into their home, with respect. God, everybody's hitting everything on the head, I think. What do you think, Dad?
I think they are too. I think these are some great takeaways and some great pieces of advice and opinions. It has everything. And Sheldon knows when we were coming up with the question last night, he's like, well, and I thought, the big takeaway is that it has everything to do with how you present yourself, because you are, theoretically, we're dealing with an intelligence. We're dealing with, in some cases, people, or some cases, other things. And in any regard, I think if you regard anything with respect, then you're more likely to have a positive experience. Not exclusively. There's some dark things that would rather see you burn than look at you. I mean, there are some horribly evil things out there. But I would caution anyone diving into the spiritual investigating and such, to make sure that you have at least a fundamental understanding of how to protect yourself, because I think that goes a long way. Anytime you enter a space, that you're uncertain of, make sure that you do what you can to protect yourself and not bring something home. But also go in and understand that if it was formerly living people, they are just like you and I. Now, I always liken it to this scenario. How would you feel? You're relaxing in your home. You got your feet kicked up, your bowl of chips and stuff. And suddenly 5 people enter your house and start telling you to turn the channel, vacuum, switch the light on, turn it off, go, spin in circles, do the Macarena. And how would anybody handle that? You'd be like, hell no, I'm not, they're not, this isn't a circus, and this isn't a performing art. These are people that, for whatever reason, they are still here in some cases, or beings that are here for whatever their reasons are, and they're not here to entertain us. And so when you come in making demands using trigger objects, I use my energy, do this now. Are you afraid? Why don't you pick on me? Scratches. I mean, there's things like this are just like, oh my God, are you serious? It's such
a good point.
It's such a bad take on how to confront this and how to engage with it positively. You got to consider that these are intelligent beings, and they deserve at least some kind of respect. And so I think everybody that's pitched in on this discussion nailed it, because it's all about how you engage and interact with these energies. I think that for the most part, most of them are very benign and maybe even benevolent, but they just, for the most part, maybe just want to be left alone, or they just want to be dealt with in a respectful manner. But when people come in, it's like the first season of Ghost Adventures. I mean, Zach was just going out of control. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it was laying in the bathtub. This one lady bled to death, and he's like, "Oh, is this where you died? Oh, what was that like?" It's like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. But and again, as Sheldon stated, we're not experts. Nobody's experts, but I think it's everything about how you present yourself. What kind of energy are you putting out? Because that's what you can expect back. That's the golden rule with people. It's the golden rule with anything, living or benign. I mean, you treat areas with respect because you want to be respectful. You treat people with respect because you hope that they will respect you, and you can grow and develop with them. And so I think that's just a good rules and a good way to look at it. But again,
I mean, even on top of that, like, you could probably, with all that antagonizing, you could probably turn a neutral spirit into an angry one just by doing that. Who knows?
Well, absolutely. And then so the investigators, but here's the thing. The problem is if it's not your house, you're investigating someplace. If you are trying to antagonize them to get some kind of proof, because some people are more concerned with the evidence than they are the situation. I want the evidence. I want to make a video, and it's going to look great, and it's going to go viral. And it becomes this real selfish thing. Well, yeah, but then they go home. But the people that live there have to deal with what comes next. And that is a horribly selfish thing. And you should always, if you are investigating, you should respect that this is somebody's home, if it is a home. If it's an abandoned place, well, I guess, do what you want. But still, it's, these are in many cases maybe tortured souls, and they don't need to be antagonized further. They need your compassion. They need your love. They need your caring and your warmth more than anything. It's, just my takeaway. But anyway, my thoughts, whatever that's worth.
The fourth, this sounds familiar. We may have watched this before too, but the fourth color says, I saw Zach get choked by a ghost the last time I caught that show. That sounds accurate.
Yeah, that's about right. Well, yeah, or and on how many times he put Aaron in the worst possible situations. Like,
oh yeah, Aaron, go ahead, go over there,
go over there and sit in the voodoo sacrifice room, and I'm going to be out here at Nerve Center monitoring. It's like,
I know, go in there alone too.
It's like the old Mutual of Omaha. There's this old nature show called Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, and there's this old guy in there, and I'm sure he's a marvelous guy and all, but it's just way back in the day when I was like a kid, and I'd watch it, and there was this old guy named Marlon Perkins, and he was this old gray, white mustache guy, and he would narrate the whole thing as well. But he'd have this guy named Jim, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna wait up in the safety of the helicopter while Jim goes down there and wrestles the anaconda." It's like, really? That's Aaron Goodwin and Zach.
Oh my God, it's true.
Yeah, it's like.
Also, Jake said his reply is in TFR.
His reply is in TFR. Jake, why you do that to me? I believe it affects. Ghosts usually don't like people in their space, and that's why they try to make people leave, my opinion. Yeah. In some cases, you're absolutely right, because they may be tormented. They may be working through whatever it was in their life that's caused them not to pass on. And so, the last thing they need to be is to be bothered and harassed by somebody wanting them to turn on a light. That would be pretty amazingly selfish for the researcher to do that. Now, again, do as you will, but those are my pieces of advice, our pieces of advice. And I think it's just important to be respectful as much as you can. But thank you all to everybody who contributed on this thread. And you can certainly, those of you listening can still contribute, offering your opinions as we're discussing it. Just make sure to do the capital letters.
We got one right now.
Okay.
Android Purity says, really good point. He says, also investigating a place not haunted at all. Then investigation might spark it to become haunted. That's a good point, because you're drawing it that, you're manifesting that type of activity, maybe.
There's an old occult practice or belief And I think there's merit to it personally, but it's called magnetism, and it's kind of like you hear it in The Secret. The Secret is this newer compendium of wisdoms, but these wisdoms are as old as time. I mean, they're from many different observations and cultures, so it's not whatever. But anyway, magnetism is the idea that you create a draw for things, and there is a point to that if you are seeking and looking for something, you are pulling on something in the matrix of the universe. And so is it possible that serves as a beacon for maybe some wayward spirits and draw them in? And it could be a psychic pull that brings them from their reverie or from their state that they're in to you. So that is possible, I think. I can't prove that. That's just all theoretical, but it does make sense to me. It's the idea that as it is done unto you as you believe, is what Jesus said. And I think that's kind of another take on the whole magnetism thing. It's like what you put out is what you can expect to come. So if you're researching and you are looking really hard to find hauntings, then maybe you'll find one. Maybe it didn't exist there before, but it does now. So, I mean, there's plenty of locations that people have gone in to investigate and nothing comes up. And that's the other side of it, is maybe nothing. But what if? What if you can create a haunting just because you were there looking for ghosts? Ooh, that's not a bad thought. Again, thank you to everybody that contributed. Please get involved in our Discord. We'd love to see you over there. I'm not sure where my Discord went now. It disappeared, but there it is. I got to drag it back over to my other window. I put it on screen while we were talking because I think it helps to let people read along if they choose. But great thoughts. And again, thank you to everybody who contributed in that conversation. And remember, before every live show, which is Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, there will be a question of the week in there. But if you're involved in the community, also take part in the other discussions. And if you find things as you're cruising online, like a video, maybe a Nuke's Top 5 or a Chills or whatever, and you want to share it, just post it in the relevant thread. Ghosts, or if you find something on Bigfoot or Dogman, post it in the relevant threads for all of us. I mean, that's great. I really appreciate when you guys do that because I like checking this stuff out. I see most of it just because I'm constantly browsing for this stuff anyway. But, you guys have introduced me to a lot of new things. So thank you for taking part, everybody.
Yeah, really good responses. You guys all hit it right on the head. It was great.
You knocked it out of the park, all of you. All right, so we have got a bunch more. We got 5 minutes left, so we're going to jump over to an article that we started reading just last night. And nope, that's not it. This is it. Okay, started reading just last night, and okay, yeah, that one we read. So this is an article from Techie Twist, and it's basically a bunch of Reddit forums, but they kind of did them in meme format. And so we're going to go through these, and we're on number 5 right now. But the article is Reddit users shared unexplained things that happened to them. And we're on number 5, and this is Have Raccoon Will Travel. I don't know what that means, but we'll find out together. Was in a Kroger's parking lot trying to figure out a car issue, and dude who had something tucked under his arm came up and asked me if I needed help. I knew what I was dealing with, but I said yeah, because I'm a computer guy, not a car guy. Well, he proceeded to take the tool I was using to mess with the battery terminal and handed it off the thing that was under his arm, which happened to be a raccoon pup, saying, "Don't worry, he don't bite." I'm completely stunned, holding and petting a completely calm raccoon while this guy sorts out my car. He takes it back and goes about his day. One of many random and unexplainable encounters in my life, but probably my favorite. Yeah, that's not really paranormal, but it is cute.
Yeah, that's cute.
A little biographical story. I actually lived with a raccoon, and when they're cute like that and little, they're wonderful, but they get bigger. And when they get bigger, they get a whole different attitude. And, man, this thing was punking me all the time. It was called Raccoonan, the Barbarian. And maybe there's something to a name. Like you should call him Fluffy or Sparkles or something like that. But when you call it Raccoonan, the Barbarian, you kind of get what you ask for. And I didn't name the thing, for the record, but Man, there was one time he got a chicken bone. I, being raised with cats and dogs, was like, no, you can't have that. And I took it away from him. This thing turned into a mitten of hate. He grabbed onto my arm, he grabbed onto my wrist, and he sat and chewed on my thumb until I let go of the chicken bone. I was like, you know, and I was like, oh my God, I was shocked. He didn't break the skin. He was still little at that point. And they said, yeah, we don't take things away from him. So
that serves you right.
Yeah, he was a little mitten of hate. He turned into a bigger mitten of hate later on when he got up into a closet and was chewing on these collector's posters that a person had. And I was like, oh, no, get out. Now, I'd picked up this raccoon by the scruff of his neck many times. But what I didn't know is when a raccoon grows, their skin gets really elastic. So I did the thing, oh, come on, raccoon, you got to get out of there. And I picked him up by the scruff of his neck, and he decided that he wasn't supposed to be out of there, that I was wrong. And he showed me I was wrong because he turned into a mitten of hate again because he was able to spin all the way around with this scruff of hair and chewed on my thumb again, except this time he tore up my arm and my thumb. I was like, and then they do this. They get down on the ground. They're just terrifying little things. But anyway, that was Raccoon and the Barbarian for any of you that care to know the story. Let's go to the next one. The final goodbye, number 6. My best friend passed away this past March. On the morning that she passed, right around the time that the coroner said that she must have died, I woke up from a dream where she had been dying. In the dream, she thanked me for everything I had done for her. A few hours later, I woke up. I sent her a text just wanting to check in, and it was right after I sent that text that I got a phone call from her mother, who told me that she had passed that morning. Wow, that's powerful. Tragic, of course, because I don't know, he's apparently knew in that dream that she was dying, so but at least she was able to say goodbye to him. So that's kind of beautiful, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Yeah. So very cool. Number 7, but why spoons? Okay. I don't know where this one's going, but let's find out. I used to work in a nursing home where I cared for dementia patients. Every patient on the hall I worked on would steal spoons. I think we read this on a different thread before, but anyway, from dinner and to give to the kids because they like shiny things. I asked the patients about the kids many times, but never got a good answer. I'd hear things like, they just live here, or they stand outside in the snow and look in the windows, or they're my friends who visit. Wouldn't be so weird if they all didn't do it, but it was everyone. One time at 3 a.m., one of my patients started screaming, so I ran in her room and found her laying in bed, seemingly fine. I asked what was wrong, and she said, that boy is here again, and he won't get out of my closet. I'm scared. Like me too, Dolores. What the heck? Yeah, that's freaky when they all share the same idea. But anyway, folks, we're going to go to the hour break. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Don't go away.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, ripping scars across my heart. Raging anger boils inside me as their lies keep falling apart. When you're not talking yet. just another fucking mask. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed.
A nightmare from which they cannot wake. I can't see you, Mommy. Where are you? I've never sensed anything like it. Carol Ann is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that's different from themselves. Her life force, it is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back into hour number 2 here on the Paranormal Portal, and I hope you're all anxious for another bucket of fun in this hour. How about you, Sheldon?
I'm always ready and always happy to dive into the deep hill of the paranormal.
Well, you know, thank you, Hardwick. We appreciate that so much. That goes a long way, lad. Thank you. That's very much helpful. Helps keep the lights on here because it ain't cheap. How you doing, Sheldon?
Doing good.
Okay, just checking. All right, folks. So we're working through an article here on Techie Twist, which is not a site known for their paranormal articles, but they collaborated and built one from Reddit, and it's Reddit users shared unexplained things that happened to them. And this is number 8 is the one we're on. And let's see what it says. It says, when I was like 4 or 5 years old, a woman named Rosella was my mom worked with at the insulation plant. Okay. Gave my mom one of those 90s Fisher-Price dollhouses because her daughter outgrew it. An insulation factory really isn't a safe place for a really small child, so I had never met the lady. Fast forward about a month after, I was walking into a general store with my mom. I have no idea what compelled me, but I ran up to the lady checking out in a line and yelled out, "Rosella!" Turned out it was her. My mom just stood stunned, and Rosella had assumed that my mom pointed her out to me, except I had yelled out her name before my mom had even seen her. Those kids, those darn kids, huh? They just know. Sometimes they just know things. Very cool story. Yeah, they do seem to. She kind of, this picture kind of, why does this remind me of Bella Porch? Does that look like Bella Porch to you?
I don't know who that is.
Oh, wow, dude. I thought I was a boomer here, but oh man, forget about it. Okay. All right. And the only reason I know is because I watched a bunch of Twitch and she pops up on about everybody's shows over there eventually.
Oh.
But anyway, this is because I'm watching Twitch because I kind of have the idea of trying to do a stream over there as well. It's something I've been throwing around for a long time. I just don't have the time commitment yet to do it because of other projects I'm working on. But it's something that interests me because I think everybody deserves a little portal. All right. So this is number 9, why I don't like camping. I was camping alone in a small one-person tent, all snug and secure. I went to sleep. I was woken up by a clap of thunder. At 3 a.m, discovered both the inner and outer tent doors wide open. That was freaky. That would be freaky. Are you kidding me? That's the one thing about tent camping is that it kind of gives you this small sense of like, oh, I'm all snug and tucked in. It's like you are literally under a Kleenex. You know, I mean,
I know.
you're literally laying under a big hanky. And that is not security at all. I mean, a squirrel could chew its way through there in a heartbeat. So,
Oh, true. Yeah.
you know, it just gives you this idea that, well, I'm safe in the tent. No, you're not. You're just burrito wrapped. That's about it. So I don't think tents are, to me, if I'm feeling safe camping, it's because I'm in a big RV or something. That to me is being safe camping. I applaud and salute those people that go out and tent camp. I think that's amazing. But I would be really nervous. I would be really working. Oh, God, is this safe? Are you sure? Are there bears around here? Really?
Aggravated Progressive says like a Sam Squatch burrito.
Yeah, exactly. Come on,
You're all
kids.
wrapped up just for them.
Come on, kids, it's burrito season. Let's go. Because, that's how Sasquatch talk is what I understand.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so they're tent tacos. Anyway. All right, the case of the disappearing friend. There was a kid in my class who no one else remembers. I distinctly recall playing with this kid in kindergarten, and we were pretty much inseparable. About a month after Christmas break, he disappeared. No one remembered him. Not the teachers or my classmates. And I even asked the school counselor if he was okay, and she humored me by going through the records to see if he'd transferred. She couldn't find a thing. I think about it at least once a month. Okay, so a couple possibilities here. This is a really interesting take because this could be a Mandela effect, or this kid could have been playing with a spirit and not known because it looked fully manifest to her.
Oh, true.
Or him.
Oh, that's a good point.
So we got two possibilities in this one that are jumping out to me. It's like either this person Mandela'd out of existence, or this person was encountering, talking, playing with a spirit. I mean, maybe the other kids saw this kid, whoever is the one telling the story, playing by themselves, talking by themselves all the time and laughing to themselves, and it probably looked strange. But to the kid, they were having an actual conversation with somebody that nobody else could experience.
Kruger says, or she's a nut.
Or it's time for her meds. That's a good point. That's always a possibility too.
There's a third option, true.
Very good point. That is a good point. I didn't think about that, but it doesn't sound like they've suffered from mental illness throughout their life. But at any rate, that's a strange story. 2 bodies, 1 heart. My mother died when I was 5, and I was raised by her twin sister, my Aunt Jean, who passed away several years later. And then 10 years to the day my Aunt Jean died, I dreamt that I was at home with her as she excitedly waited for something. Just then, there was a woman at the door. Aunt Jean ran up to the woman and hugged her. The woman took Aunt Jean's hand and said, "Let's go." I never saw the woman's face, only the back of her head, and all I know is Aunt Jean was so happy to go with this visitor. Later on, it dawned on me that the visitor was her twin sister, my mother, and she was taking her into the next stage of her journey. Aw, how beautiful.
Wow.
That's powerful. Very powerful. Yeah, I think that's very, very possible. Number 12, Jose's voice. Look at that picture, though. That's creepy.
Oh, jeez.
I'm blind, and this is relevant to the story, I promise. When I was a little girl, I would always ask my mom when my dad was getting home from work. He got home at a different time every night, so naturally my mom would always say she didn't know. Anyway, one day, I asked my usual question and got the usual I don't know from my mom before going into my room. As soon as I entered my room, this voice said, "Your dad will be home in 15 minutes. I was freaked out. My mom remembers me running out to her, shaking and crying. I told her what happened and she panicked, thinking someone was in the house. She grabbed my younger sisters and took us all outside until my dad got home in exactly 15 minutes. My mom told my dad what had happened, and he went in the house to check. There was no one there. The same man spoke to me several more times, and he told me his name was Jose and that he didn't want to hurt me, only protect me." Wow. That's cool, I guess. Yeah.
Wow.
Or disturbing. What do you think? What's your take on that?
No, I think I mean, if the voice distinctly said, "Yeah, I'm not here to hurt you, I'm here to protect you." But then again, why say something so mundane like, "Hey, your dad's gonna be home in 15 minutes." Like, what does that serve? I don't know.
I guess it was time.
It could be a trickster, maybe.
Could be. Could be a liar. Maybe he was there. Maybe he was there to hurt her, and she believed that he was nice, so he did, changed his mind. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a cool story, really. I think everybody needs a guardian angel of some kind, and maybe that was her guardian angel. Who knows? But cool story. All right, here we go again. God, is that you? This is a near-death experience. It said, I had a near-death experience in which I was ejected from an automobile. When I regained consciousness, a man came to me and said, everyone survived. The man was there before any paramedics arrived. The craziest part of it all was that looking at the man gave me the most powerful sensation of deja vu ever. Maybe I hit my head too hard, but it was an insane experience. It was as if I had seen that man before. Huh. So I don't understand, though, how that's an NDE. I mean, this person was conscious at the time. It's what it sounds like.
If you're ejected from an automobile,
sure,
that means you'd had to have gone fast.
Right. I mean, he might have been lucky he survived, but did he go through a tunnel of light? Did he go through all that whole experience and seeing things and experiencing things outside of his normal possible range? Or was this all part of an NDE where he was seeing that guy and then woke up in hospital later, coming out of a coma or something? I don't know. It's just...
More information is needed.
More information is necessary. Number 14, my ghost roommate. There you go. It says, and this is actually a screenshot. I've seen this video online. Yeah. If you have an app that records sleep cycles, and if you talk or snore in your sleep, it will record it to play back when you wake up. At 3:30 a.m. last Halloween, you heard me saying, huh? With a man's voice saying something in the background. I lived by myself.
Oh, God.
Yeah. That's a little creepy. I don't know what to make of that one. That sounds...
last Halloween, though, at 3... It's always 3 o'clock. Remember that?
The witching
around
hour.
3 o'clock.
Yep. 3 to 4 a.m. is supposedly the hot hour in paranormal research anyway. And some have suggested maybe that's when the veil is thinnest through a 24-hour cycle. And that may be true. All right, not today, Pennywise. I was in line at a store checking out, and I saw a creepy little clown head decoration. Naturally, I told my friend I hate clowns. I felt a tap on my shoulder, so I turned around, and a clown looked down at me and whispered in my ear, "But we love you." That is very creepy. I can imagine. I'm just picturing Don's face if that happened, because he hates clowns. Don is terrified of clowns. And God, I want to take him to a circus so bad.
Trick him into it, yeah.
Don, guess what? Free popcorn. Just to see how he'd take it. No. All right, light in the castle is next. My best friend's little sister had been struggling with cancer for a long time. Aw. She was almost 5 when she passed away about a month ago. Aw. Recently, I went to my BFF's house to hang out, and there was this big toy castle that her sister would always play with. We were just sitting there when, out of nowhere, one of the lights in the castle turned on and made a noise. We think it was her. Yeah, for sure. I think it could be. She could have been visiting.
Yeah.
You know, in a situation like that, I don't know that that's, that the spirit is always there. But I think that when we pass over, we may very well be able to come and go as we please and visit the people we love and keep an eye on them. And what is the android saying? Give him a Ouija board with a clown on it for his birthday. His face when he unwraps it. Oh my God, that would be so horrid. He would have, I'm pretty sure he'd poop my chair over there. He'd be fudge striping the Portal studio. No, that would be horrible. I don't think he would like that at all.
Where does the fear of clowns, I've always been curious, where does the fear of clowns come from?
I don't know. It's like any other phobia. How do you know? I mean, maybe it was something from, I think Pennywise has probably done quite a bit in Killer Clowns from Outer Space to wrap people's minds. But I mean, there are traditional phobias of clowns, and I don't know what it's called, but I think it's just like any other phobia. Like, why are people afraid of spiders? Like deathly afraid, or being afraid of leaving your home, or any other number of phobias. I got a brother who's absolutely terrified of cotton balls because he can't touch them. If he touches them and he feels that crunchy feeling, it just about brings him to tears. I mean, he's just literally cannot handle cotton balls.
Oh, that's an interesting fact.
I know. I was always going to stuff his winter coat pockets full of cotton balls.
No.
I always thought about it. I never did it, though, but I thought, that'd be one way. But I never did it. It's one thing to have those ideas. It's another to act on them. So I just got a chuckle out of thinking about it a bunch.
Maybe I'll do that.
You never know. All right. This one is always a friend. It said, my best friend was killed in a car accident our senior year of high school, and I truly believe he saved my life from beyond the grave. 6 months after he died, I was in a car crash eerily similar to the one that killed him. I could have easily been killed, but I somehow walked away without a scratch, even though my car was destroyed. Turned out his necklace had been hanging from the rearview mirror, only for me to find it after my accident. Wow. Huh.
Oh.
So he was kind of with you the whole journey. Well,
yeah.
That's cool. So I think there's merit to that. Like, can we become guardian angels to those we love? And I think so. I think there's, I mean, certainly the idea that of angels is that they were a separate creation altogether. In terms of many religions, and whether that's true or not, I don't know. But to me, to be an angel means to be a protective force. I don't know that it's always a race of being or a type of being. I think that to be a protective force, of good can create that you're an angel, and not all angels are dead. I think that sometimes the divine works through us or through, other things in this world to protect us. And those are angelic actions as well. So, could a friend protect another friend? Yeah, I think so. I really do believe that that's very possible. All right. The family monarch is next. My great grandmother's favorite animal was always the monarch butterfly. During the graveside ceremony, everyone present noticed a gorgeous monarch butterfly land on the middle of her casket flower spread. We all knew it was her last way of making us smile and to reassure us that we would be okay without her. For weeks afterward, we would call each other every time we saw the same type of butterfly. We all saw her butterflies and felt her presence. They would land in such strange places, too, like directly on our hands or in our hair, and even follow us into cars. Each butterfly experience was honestly magical, and I still think about her every time I see one. Aww.
Beautiful.
That is a beautiful story, yeah. And again, yeah, I have no doubt. I think that's probably the least intrusive way that they can show us that they're fine. Symbols
by using like nature.
using symbols, right? So it's a living symbol, but it's a symbol. Sometimes it's a smell. I think that's probably the most common thing that people experience is to catch a smell. Because smell is a powerful memory inducer. It's just like, boom, it'll bring you back to a whole different place and time. And many times I've caught smells that just out of nowhere, and they're very brief, but I've caught it. It's like, oh, I remember that smell. And it's just this beautiful moment of recalling and going back to another time when things were different. And it's such a powerful healing thing. So I think that our loved ones do that with us. They create smells. They give us symbols. They don't want to come out and just be, hey, I'm here, because obviously that would be an incredible shock to people. But I think they do it in subtle ways. What are you going to say?
No, I just said, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think those are cool. Very cool. All right, here's number 19, a paw print in our hearts. When I was a freshman in high school, my family made the tough decision to put our family dog down as she was having a tough battle with cancer. That same night, we all had the same dream of her walking down the driveway coming home. Not sure if this counts, but we all were convinced it was her telling us that she was okay. So, that's beautiful. If they all had the same dream, I mean, what are the odds of that? Astronomical, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That had to be a sign. Had to be.
For everybody to have the same dream, I think that's a very powerful sign. Like, yeah, that was her letting you know she was still there with you. Look into my son's old life. I'll look into my son's old life. When my youngest son was about 3 years old, we were eating out in town, and he got a bit restless. Well, I decided to take him for a walk, and as I held the door open, he got away from me and made a break for it. He bolted down an adjacent site, which had a ruined chapel, almshouses, with info boards for tourists. I found him staring up at the chapel ruins. "What are you doing, mate?" I asked, and he replied, "A long time ago, I got married here." Then a switch flicked, and he was off running again. Shook me to my core. Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's crazy. 3 years old.
Stories like that really make me believe in reincarnation.
Sure. I mean, there seems to be a lot of those stories out there. And again, you've got to presume that every one of these stories is true or not, or they're not true. I mean, it is a leap of faith because we don't know these people and haven't talked to them, or we don't know that they're telling the truth. But if they are, if only 1% of these stories are real, it's still incredible, or 2% or 5% or, whatever. It's still showing us some incredible phenomena. Twinkle, twinkle. I was putting my daughter to bed, and she was talking about her godmother because we were reading a book that her godmother had gotten her. Her godmother died in 2019 of breast cancer. We were reminiscing about her, and my daughter's twinkle lights she has on her ceiling start going off. Well, not too weird. Maybe they have a short or something. I go to turn them off, but they aren't plugged in. I figure it's my friend saying hi. She loved rainbows, and I'm not superstitious, but she promised to stick around and haunt us. I find it comforting. Those lights still go off every now and then.
Wow.
That's really cool. That has got to be one of the most powerful symbols ever is when a radio comes on and it's playing music and then they look down and it's not plugged in, or a TV or other appliances like that. I mean, they require electricity. They don't just work on static. That just doesn't happen. Otherwise, I'd be rubbing the plug on the floor all the time. Got a piece of carpet like, lower the bills. But, if that happens, if that's truly a real phenomenon, that's amazing. That has got to make you believe.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's weird because they ended off with, "I'm not superstitious, but, it's like, how about now? What about now, though?"
Well, yeah, it's pretty strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, those stories are always amazing that people have these incredible experiences in it. But I don't believe in ghosts. Really?
Yeah, come on.
So what do you chalk that up as then? Where are you going with it? It's not ghosts. What are we doing here? All the news that's fit to print. Was delivering newspapers on my paper route when a longtime customer pulled his car next to me. Remember this one. and asked me to just give him the newspaper now because he was going on a long trip. Well, I handed him his newspaper and then skipped his house as I continued my route. The next day I was collecting the weekly fees and I went to his house to collect my fee. His wife answers and promptly complains that I missed her house on my deliveries the day before. Well, I explained to her that her husband pulled me up next to me. I told her what he said and that I gave him the paper. She started crying and told me that he had died a couple of weeks ago, and it was obviously not possible that I spoke with her husband the day before. I know what I saw, and nearly 30 years later, I still think about that situation. That is just amazing. I've read that story on this show before, and I swear to God, it still just makes me go, wow. I mean, what a powerful thing to do and to experience. That he drove up in a car and took a newspaper from a little boy and drove off, but he wasn't even alive to do it. So that's pretty amazing. What is Android saying? Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Android Purity says, I'm still waiting for the day I see an object move or get thrown. Have either of you seen that? And I said, I've said I've experienced it, like being literally contacted by by some dark entity, I'll say. But have you been like contacted?
Well, I've seen objects move, several times.
Yeah.
It's at first it was more subtle, and it was primarily, I've seen things moving many times. Not all of them I can chalk up to paranormal just because I can't verify that, but we'll talk more about it on the other side of the break. I'll break down some instances where I've seen things happen there's no way I can explain, but we'll do that in just a few seconds. We're about to go to the last break, so buckle up. Don't go away because the show is not over. We still have a half hour to go, and we're going to get into some Phantoms and Monsters reports on the other side, so don't go away. we're back at it. How you doing, Sheldon?
Doing good. Doing good. Now, you were about to go into your experiences of objects moving or being touched.
No, I wouldn't. I don't know what you're talking about. You're freaking me out, man. All right. Here's some experiences where I've seen things move. All right. It's something that I think may happen more consistently than we think, but I think a lot of times it's really subtle. To the point that you can't prove that it was paranormal or not, but it's something that doesn't make sense. Like, I can't tell you how many times in this house alone, things will just get knocked over from out of nowhere. Like, a cup in the sink, just boom, falls over. It's like, why? There's nothing there. I mean, nothing around it. I've had cabinet doors pop open in this house. Not usually shut, but they pop open. and it's very, what is the word? Random. It doesn't have it. It's not like, oh, that's a bad hinge. That's obviously what's going on here. Of course, I do try to debunk these things because I think it's important before you make a claim that you remove the plausible before you say that it's, impossible. I have had the first thing that I ever remember moving, I guess was one of the first experiences was when I think it was in that old house, the same one that I saw the orb in and for the first time, and also where I was in the shower, soaped up and the water went cold and the hot water came on in the sink when I was alone in a locked house, in a locked bathroom inside a locked house, all by myself taking a hot shower. The hot water came on. Well, something turned it on. It didn't turn on by its own. It was a brand new faucet as well. So it's not like, old pipes, old plumbing, whatever. Never did it again. It did it that one time. And it was creepy because, there's something about being naked in a shower that's creepy. But another time I was bending down to pick up a pen that was on the ground. I didn't know why it was on the ground, but it was in a old Victorian house that I owned. So I bent down to pick up the pen and I'm reaching for it. As I'm reaching for it, when my hand is about 5 inches from this pen, it rolls over. And now that was a very subtle thing, but it was very clearly rolling over by itself on carpeting. This is shag carpeting, not wood floors. It was on shag carpeting. It rolled itself over. And I'm like, well, that's weird. That's unusual. But I picked it up. Again, for some reason, when these things happen, other than being naked in the shower, that was creepy, but I wasn't scared. I was just creeped out, like, something's in here with me. Yeah. I didn't like that part. But other than that, in that same Victorian house, there was this old door that I'd found down in the basement. And there was doors in the basement for this house. And I found homes for them. I don't know why they pulled these doors out, but I guess it was to try to open it up a little more for whatever, maybe for airflow. Because back in the old Victorian houses, they were very compartmental and possibly to conserve heat and to keep certain rooms warmer and to let other ones be a little cooler because nobody was really in them. And what was my kitchen used to be a grand entryway, kind of a grand opening. It wasn't huge, but it was pretty big. And there was a door. It was like a two-way. Well, I should do it like this so you guys can see, but it was the ones that go both ways. Like in a kitchen or in a restaurant where they go out or in, and it goes either way. Well, it was an old butternut wood door, beautiful, and I cleaned it up and had worked on it, but I mounted it. But one problem was when it was actually hung there during its actual time of usage, there wasn't plush carpeting in that part of the house. But there was then. So it would get hung up on the carpeting all the time, and you'd have to use a considerable amount of force to close it and to get it to sit back at normal. So it would always kind of hang up and be open about 8 inches. That's as far as it could from being closed. It would just get hung up there. And I remember sitting in that house many times when I was alone, and suddenly that door would go, boom, boom, boom. And there's no explaining that. I didn't have any pets at that time, not a dog, not a cat, not anything. And it was also the same house where I walked through after my separation from my then wife. I had, sent the dining room stuff I didn't have anymore, so I had this empty dining room. But I had to cross through there to go out of the side entrance of my house. So it's this empty room, and in the ceiling above, in the middle of this dining room, was this old chandelier. And I crossed through the room, got to the other side, was reaching for the door to go out, and I had this feeling, no, wait, I got to see something. And I had this feeling, it was just like overtook me. Like, so suddenly I had the hand on the door handle, turned and looked. When I turned to look back into the dining room, that chandelier pulled out of my ceiling and landed on my floor, crashed onto my floor. Now, when I say pulled out of the ceiling, it didn't just fall. It pulled out of the ceiling and brought down plaster with it. It was just like something yanked it out of the ceiling. And I remember being absolutely pissed because it was like, oh God, now I got to fix that. And I was mad as hell. I wasn't happy. I wasn't scared. I was pissed because, I mean, this is an old house. Everything you got to fix has got a lot of work. And so I was like, God, I was mad as hell. That was another time where things have moved. But I think most of the time it's subtle. Little things falling over where it doesn't make sense. Like I've had things turn on in this house. One was a little thumper massager that kind of thumps on your back and stuff. And I had put it on a chair after I'd used it. And it was a hard to turn on thing. You had to push the power button up pretty considerably. It wasn't just like, oh, you bump it and it'll turn on. It was like, I don't know if the thing was a little bit faulty or what, but you had to like put considerable pressure on the thumb slide to turn it on. And I'm sitting there watching TV and this thing's on the couch maybe 4 feet away from me. And all of a sudden, I turn and look over and it's kind of gliding around the couch because it's on the, it's got the thumper massager and it's kind of like gliding around in a little circle. I'm like, God. So I tried to, I grabbed my phone and was going to take a video of it, but I didn't catch it coming on. So it'd be like, well, yeah, that's real.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't proof because I didn't catch it happening, but it was just one of those dumb things that happened. And I think it's just something saying I'm here,
Yeah.
So those are my experiences of seeing things move. And there's many more, but some of them are just too, I don't know. They're just too inconsequential to really mention. But to me, every time something moves, that's an extraordinary event because you're witnessing something that should not be possible with our traditional understanding of physics. If nothing of force has acted on this object, observable force, it shouldn't change the position of an object. So something is acting with force on an object to change it, but we can't perceive it for some reason. So, right. So those are my thoughts. Android says, you've had an awful lot of experiences. You sure you don't have something following you around? No, I think there's just some people that tend to be magnets for stuff, and for whatever reason, I tend to be a magnet for it too. Again, it's not something that freaks me out. I've lived with this stuff for years and years, and it just doesn't bother me. I'm not trying to challenge the universe because I think something may answer, and then I will be really bummed out about it. But yeah. That was my experience.
You want to test that out.
Yeah. What about you, Sheldon?
No. Well, as far as even I think it was maybe it was half a year now. Maybe time's gone by, but at least a few months to half a year ago, we have a ledge in the living room here. It's like this ledge that we use it for putting pictures up along the ledge. Mm-hmm. When I come back home, one of the pictures of one of my great grandparents has gone 5 feet onto the carpeting of that ledge, and so I didn't see it happening, but it's not like it fell over.
Right. Yeah.
So, I guess there's that. But as far as contact goes, 2 prominent experiences. One, for the sake of time, just the short version, I had a really bad dream one night years ago. I don't know, maybe I was 22, 23, maybe. Mm-hmm. And horrible dream of something yelling at me, please hurt me, please hurt me, please hurt me. Didn't make sense, but it just, something didn't feel right in the dream. I wake up to, it literally felt like a hand, like literally I could feel each finger on my skull. I was laying on my left side, and it was pinning my head to the bed. And I could literally feel like as if it wasn't just a force, it was as if it felt like a hand on me. When I woke up, I was stunned, and I thought I woke up and I thought someone was like holding me down, and I got pissed, and I turned over to, I guess hit whatever was behind me, and there's nothing there, and then it stopped.
Yeah.
So that was my experience with contact.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I've had many, many, many more experiences, and I'll never share all of them because some of them were very, very personal and very uncomfortable. But I share a lot of things with you guys because I think it's, it helps to understand that we all have experiences. I mean, I really think everybody has had experiences in one shape or another. I just think that some people are very adept at dismissing those things, just like, well, that didn't really happen, or whatever. And that's fine. I mean, people don't need to acknowledge it, but I think it's a very real phenomenon that probably everyone has experienced at some point or another. And it's not always negative or dark or even horrible. It can be beautiful. But it just, I think if we suddenly were able to see spirits, like everybody could see every spirit's around, we would be shocked that we are swimming in a world of spirits. I think that we are absolutely surrounded by energies and intelligences at all times. And in many cases, they're probably not aware of us either, but that doesn't negate the fact that they're still around,
Could you imagine getting the sight of being able to see spirits and just seeing a crowd of spirits just watching you?
That would probably be horrible. I kind of
yeah,
be just like, really, in the bathroom? What are you guys doing? Get out of here!
Yeah, seriously.
This is not a spectator sport. Let's go. Oh my God. Yeah, could be. Yeah, that's what Drew says. I wonder what force you're referring to, Brent. Might it just be a force or a magnetism that disembodied spirit is acting upon to move an object? Perhaps we can't see it, like you were saying. Exactly. That's exactly what I mean. I don't mean a benign force. I don't mean like some weird side gravity or something. I mean a force as far as an energy is what I'm saying. And we exert force on objects with our physical body, but these intelligences or entities, whether they were human or not, are using a different means than we can perceive, So that's what I mean. A force, just in physics terms, is what I was talking about. Not anything nebulous or bizarre. But anyway, thank you, Tracy. I'm glad you agree. I think, we're just in a world of spirits. It's so deep and it can go so far, and it's hard to put everything into words because some stuff I just have like an intuitive understanding of it, and it's just me. I could be absolutely wrong, but I don't think I am. But I still doesn't mean I can put everything into words because I don't know how to articulate some of the things that I feel. It's just I feel them. So whatever that means, I don't know. All right, when the saints go marching in and out. Yeah. I'm not sure what that means, but I love that song, actually. It's one of the first songs I learned to play on a piano years and years ago with one hand. I can't do the other part, but anyway. All right, so let's go to the Phantoms and Monsters report because I'll save what's left of this. How much is left? I don't know. I was on 23, 20. No, I was on 22. So I'm just looking ahead to see how much is here. Yeah, there's still more left. So we'll pick up the rest of it on next Wednesday or something, depending on what's going on. So let's go to a Phantoms and Monsters report. This is the one I don't know if I can read it in 10 minutes either. Maybe I can. Maybe I can.
Speed read.
Maybe I can do it in 10 minutes. Okay, we're going to read this. This is the one that I was going to read last night. And it's an interesting one from Phantoms and Monsters. Again, please support the site over there. Go over there. Check it out. See all that Lon has to offer. There's an amazing cornucopia of Fortean and supernatural wonder waiting for you. But this one is giant, pale, snake-faced, hooded humanoid encountered at Florida highway rest area. Ugh. That's not what you like to see. When you're resting, you don't want to see snake-faced humanoids. A woman describes in detail her account with a giant chalk-white humanoid while at a Florida highway rest area. She showed empathy towards the being even though she was shocked by it. It was the spring of 2007. My then boyfriend and I were on our way from New York down to Miami for a music festival. We're driving south on the highway along the east coast of Central Florida when we pulled into a rest area so he could catch a nap. He'd been driving all day, and we decided that he desperately needed a short rest before getting back behind the wheel. We had very recently bought the van, and he did not think I could handle maneuvering it, so he was doing all the driving. I later proved him wrong. He parked and jumped in the back of the van and laid down on the futon mattress that we had laid there. He told me to leave him alone and then proceeded to pass out from exhaustion. I was pretty freaked out because the rest area building was unmanned and locked up and dark inside. The restrooms were closed. That's not good. The rest area building was surrounded by dark woods, and there were about 4 other cars in the small parking lot, but no sign of any drivers, so I imagine they were all having an emergency laydown as well. Normally, I'd never have set foot outside of the van alone in such a scenario. My instincts told me not to get out of the van, but I'd taken some Midol for my menstrual cramps. Okay, I don't mean to chuckle, but I wasn't expecting that in a story. And they had given me brutal nausea. I needed some pretzels. I mustered up all my courage and opened the passenger side door and squeezed through the space between our vehicle and the vehicle that was parked directly next to ours. As soon as I had a clear line of sight to the front of the rest stop building, I saw the thing and saw it clearly. Straight ahead, I saw the brightly lit front facade of the rest stop. To the left of the doors was it. To the right of the doors was a vending machine. Immediately, it communicated with me. I was flooded with what I consider telepathic messages from the being. I cannot be seen. I cannot be seen. I must travel by night and exist in darkness. I cannot be seen. I cannot be seen. I cannot be seen. And I felt an enormous wave of compassion for the being rather than fear, which may seem more logical reaction to someone hearing the story. For some reason, my brain only categorized it as one thing initially, an outsider worthy of compassion and tolerance. Its skin was pure chalk white, not the skin tone white, but the color white. Its eyes were several times larger than ours. It had 2 little air holes for a nose and very thin mouth. Its frame was completely concealed by its enormous long black hooded robe. It looked as though it was quite gaunt underneath, pretty frail looking. It was sitting on its bottom, knees bent back against the brick front of the rest stop area. To the left of the front doors of the rest area, it was sitting with its back very straight, tail tall and erect. It seemed in awe of me, or maybe in awe that I was actually approaching it. It looked vaguely like a human, very vaguely. Its skin was snake-like. Its eyes were right on me. I threw a little everyday smile in its direction, and I did something strange. I continued to walk towards the rest area even after seeing it. I walked towards the rest area building, closer to it. I walked forward about 20 feet from the rear of the van to the rest area steps, up the 20 or so steps, and to the right where the vending machine was located. My thoughts at this point were very bizarre in retrospect. I felt bad for the thing. I didn't want it to feel different. I know that sounds hilariously quaint if we are indeed talking about an interdimensional being, but I didn't want it to want to run back into the van because I didn't want to hurt its feelings. I didn't want to make it feel like a freak. It had already told me that it could not be seen due to the way people would react, so I wanted it to know that I didn't judge it for the way it looked, and that I was willing to come into terms with its horrific appearance in order to extend some humanity to it. I did not know about fallen angels and such at the time. Well, yeah, but you don't know if it's a fallen angel. So it was with that very bizarrely strong conviction to the righteous and humane to it that I walked towards the vending machine. I actually got pretzels. I'm telling you, my stomach was churning. I used the vending machine with my back to it. Pretzels in hand, I swiveled around to look at it again before descending back down the steps. It was at that moment that pure terror rippled through me. I was closer to it now, approximately 15 feet away, and I could see now that there was definitely no way that it was human. It was staring right at me with a wide-eyed insect, like a wide-eyed insect. It was still in exactly the same position, except that it had turned its head to look at me better as my position changed. It looked like an alien. It looked like a demon. It was not human. Its huge one-dimensional eyes, did not have whites. They were almost almond-shaped, like the classic alien eye that we all know. It was then that I realized that it was extremely tall, unthinkably tall. Although I was standing and it was sitting, its head still stood taller than mine. Its huge eyes were fixed on me totally, with fascination, alarm, and with the most intense focus, just like the way my cat looks at something right before she pounces on it. When I had made this decision to climb the steps towards it and not to retreat to the van, I thought that it was sitting on top of something and that it was why its head was raised up so high. Now, from this closer perspective, I could see that it was not sitting on anything but its own butt. If I had realized this, that it was this tall at the start, I very well might not have gone up the stairs. So after the ripple of terror went through me, I responded by smiling the way you smile at a stranger when your eyes catch on the bus. I shot it a casual, thin, innocuous little, "Hey, how you doing?" smile. And why and how I acted as if things were totally normal, I cannot explain. I have never acted so cool in my life. If I were to guess what the thing was doing when I encountered it, judging by its body language, I would say that it was somewhat displaced and resting, but I have no clue. Maybe it was in the middle of something far more sinister. I did not look like a mutant or an experiment. It looked ancient, timeless, and placeless, graceful, horrible. It was also firmly in this dimension when I saw it. It was not hazy vision in the slightest. The lighting was not dim. It was not even a remotely ethereal experience. The extremely bright lights that illuminated the front facade of the rest area building revealed every contour of this entity. If only I had been closer, I could have provided much more detail about its facial features. As I was walking back to the van, I quickly strategized about how to make sure my fear did not paralyze me and prohibit me from getting safely inside the car. I decided not to look back or even around me as I turned the key, because I saw that it had moved, or I saw it coming towards me. I would have been too terrified to manage with the car keys. I got in the van, locked the door. I screamed that we needed to leave immediately, and we did. As we drove away about 90 seconds after it was last in my sight, I looked out the window and saw that it was gone. There was nothing where it had been, just brick wall and concrete floor. I began to tell my boyfriend that I had just had the ultimate experience, and although he was a dude who was always going on about the Vedas and the Madame Blavatsky and whatnot, for some reason, his only response was a trite, "We're in Florida, what do you expect?"
Oh my God.
He was an extremely abusive person, so I decided to leave it at that and not attempt to share any more with him. As far as the height of the entity, at first I thought it was about 9 or 10 feet tall. Now that I'm drawing a diagram, I realize that it was likely significantly taller. As I said, its head stood taller than mine, even though it was standing, and I was standing and it was sitting. I am 5'4", and that means that it was approximately 6 feet tall from its butt to the top of its head. From its butt to its knees may have been 4 or 5 feet, and from its knees to feet, 3 feet, but that means that it was about 14 feet tall. I can hardly wrap my head around that. So there you go.
Oh. So it's interesting, because it sounds like a gray, but it's really tall.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's the tall grays. The tall grays are supposedly more in charge than the normal little diminutive grays. Like the tall grays are supposedly like commanders or something. I don't know this. She had explained this thing as reptilian though. And actually that's not a description that usually is used with the grays. So yeah, even the tall ones. So whatever it was, I don't know. She said almost insectoid. So it does make me think of the mantis things, but I don't know. It just had little slits and stuff. I don't know what its deal is, but crazy story. But I can tell you that we are nearing the very last part. The last minute of the show is now upon us, folks. So I hope you've enjoyed the journey. I hope if you're new that you'll get subscribed and you'll be a part of what we're doing here on the Paranormal Portal. Again, please check out the Discord if you haven't already. I'd love to see you in the community over there. It's been growing really incredibly, and Sheldon has has spammed the Discord address. If you want to join up, it's right there in the chat. Love to see it. Can't miss it. If you miss it, something wrong with you. Just saying that right now. But I will tell you this. It's been always a glorious journey to be doing the shows. Thank you, everybody, for being here and being a part of it. Spread the word about the Paranormal Portal, and please watch for our podcast. It's on all the major platforms. Some great interviews. This week's interview was with James Vieira. It deals with giants and ancient civilizations. Jim Vieira is a TV personality, wonderful guy. And Sunday we'll release a new one. So we'll be looking for you there and looking for you here. We're looking for you everywhere. Just wherever you see Paranormal Portal, get involved. We love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody.
Good night.